Speaking of that man, Grant Holloway, absolute dog. He's owned this event for years and years. What's it going to take to beat him at a championship?
Cordell Tinch.
That is Cordell Tinch today, back on the Running Effect podcast. And in the 2 years since Cordell has been back on the podcast, he's made a world championship team. I believe he's ran 12.87 in the 110 hurdles, which is tied for the fourth fastest time ever. And he signed a professional contract with Nike, which is absolutely remarkable. 2 years ago when I had him on the podcast, we shared a lot of his story, which recapped him dropping out of college, thinking he would never run track again, becoming a cell phone salesman, to ultimately getting back in the track and field world. And at the 2023 NCAA D2 Outdoor Championships, Cordell made history by winning the 110 hurdles, the long jump, and the high jump, becoming the first athlete in Division II history to secure 3 individual titles at a single championship. And as I mentioned, that 1287 in the 110 this season thus far, he is on a progression and trajectory to do some remarkable things in the sport. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I'm confident you guys are going to walk away with a lot of practical takeaways that you can apply directly into your running and into your life immediately. If you do enjoy this one, make sure you are following or subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen so you never miss another episode. Give us a 5-star review and share the show with a friend or two. That would greatly help us out. And without further ado, enjoy my conversation with the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Cordell Tinch. Mr. Cordell Tinch, welcome back to the Running Effect podcast. A lot of people might scratch their head and say, back, when was this guy on? Guys, he was on 2 years ago when he was dominating D2 NCAA. It's a privilege to have you back on, and congrats on all the success, man. You deserve it all.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
We're going to start off with an unorthodox question. I don't think you saw it coming. Notice that Mr. Hot Money Tyrese Halliburton follows you on Instagram. How do we make that happen, man? How do we get that clout?
Oh, that's like that's like a childhood friend. Like I used to
Really?
play AAU. Like, yeah, like I talk to his brother all the time, talk to his mom every birthday, every Mother's Day. Like that's another family of mine.
Crazy. How cool has it been to see his success?
It's great. It's honestly something where like he's kind of the first person that I ever looked at and realized, like he's different as far as like us playing basketball together, because basketball was always just a hobby for me. Like it was something else to do. But like the things that I watched him do behind the scenes before he got to Iowa State, before he was even a state champ in Wisconsin, like I was like, yeah, he's going places. And like it kind of motivated me, but I was like, I don't know how to translate the work he's putting in for basketball to football and or track and field, because you can't just go sit in the gym and shoot shots for. So it was all different, and I was just learning. But it's been great there's certain people that are basketball fans of other things. And initially when he got in the league, they're like, I just don't know what teams are seeing. I was like, Brad, just give him some time. Like he's going to be great regardless where he goes. And I'm just glad that he's finally able to show it.
Was he a dog back in the day, back in middle school, AAU days?
Yes, he definitely was. You could always tell that he was going to be special. Like, regardless of what age it was, you could tell he was going to be special. So,
with people like that, whether it's, Tyrese or you in your own, track and field sort of field, for lack of a better way of putting it, what's your take on talent versus hard work? Like, I'm sure he was talented back in the day, but did he work hard? And do you think for most of these people it's talent or hard work or both?
My honest take is Tyrese is definitely he's a mix of both. He's very talented, but he also puts a lot into the sport of basketball, and that's why he's getting such a big return. Initially, with me, I think that thanks to, faith and all that, I, for a long time, was just out-talenting everybody. I didn't work for nothing, and that was a big, big deal until even people say with the whole run through when I came originally to Pitt and was running for them, of like, you didn't do any off-season training, you haven't really done any actual this. Like, I was just a talented kid that ended up on this team. But at the same time, this year I don't run what I've ran without putting in the work over the last year and a half of getting adjusted to being a pro and learning how to train, learning how to travel, and changing all those things. So I think that to a point, talent will beat hard work, but at some point, if you're talented, you still got to put hard work in to achieve the next step.
Speaking about Tyree specifically, I'm assuming you watched the game last night. What was going through your head? That final shot, regulation.
And as soon as he shot it, I knew it was going to go in. I was on PlayStation and I was watching it. I was watching it on my computer while playing a game with my friends from Wisconsin, and we were all going nuts about the game. But I told them after, I don't know if it was the third or the fourth shot that Demhard hit, I was like, yeah, Pacers are going to win this game. And I was told, no, they're not. And I said, they're going to win this game. And as the shot went up, my first thought was it's going in. And then I looked and I was like, never mind, we're going to overtime, because I realized it was a 2. But I knew the fact that the Knicks already blew the lead. We're going to overtime. You're losing the game. I'm sorry. Like, you didn't had your fans. They was all happy, and now they're all dead silent in the arena. Y'all lost. So I was just excited for the Pacers to get one on the road to start.
I don't know if you saw this stat, but I read this thing this morning that said since 1996-97, teams that have trailed by 7+ in the final 50 seconds of the fourth quarter or overtime in the playoffs are 4 to 1,702. The Indiana Pacers have 3 of those wins, and they're all this year.
Yep. They're just
Crazy.
a team that – it's honestly just a team that is an actual full team. They don't – yes, Tyrese is their best player. I mean, some people say Siakam, but the team doesn't run without Tyrese. But they all played together. Like, they had no problem watching Nembhard hit all those threes. They have no problem watching Tyrese do it. They have no problem watching Miles do it. They have no problem watching Siakam do it. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. And that's just sometimes the difference is you realize the Knicks, the ball was always going to Brunson. And you're like, all right, we got to get a bucket. And when he's not missing, everybody kind of looks like, well, I don't know what to do if he's not making a shot.
There's long been this debate in the distance running world of can LeBron James break 5 minutes in the mile? We'll flip it on Tyrese since you know him. How fast is Tyrese running a mile in? All out. Good conditioning. And how far are you hanging? Would you beat him in a mile?
I mean, I would beat him for the sole fact of being competitive and having to hold it down for my sport, just like he would never say that I could beat anybody in a one-on-one on his team. So I would have to hold it down for the sport. I don't know how fast it's going to be, but it's going to be faster than him.
How close is he coming to 5?
Honestly, I'd say he'd probably come pretty close. He's
a
very in shape person, so I would.
Interesting.
Even though basketball shape and track shape are 2 very different things, but he's an in shape person, I would believe. Plus, if the challenge was there of us competing or, bragging rights, things of that,
he'll dig deeper.
It's going to be pretty fast.
Yeah, totally. Switching sports to football. I think the end of our conversation, if I'm remembering correctly, last time I was asking you about your football background, and we were talking about Packers because I'm a Packer fan, you're a Packer fan. And I was like, would you ever get back into football? As a Packer fan, how do we feel about this first-round draft pick? This is big. We're back.
I'm happy.
No?
I'm happy, but I'm not.
You're not thrilled?
Entirely happy because Luther Burden was on the board when we picked Golden, so that's the problem. I don't care what nobody says. I didn't watch a lot of football. I played wide receiver, and I love watching people play that position. Us as an organization, we don't have I don't care what nobody says. Look, don't crucify me for this, Packer fans, but Christian Watson is not a number 1 wide receiver. He's just not there. Therefore, all of our other receivers are, they should be your number 2 guy, but we've got 5 number 2 guys. I think that Luther could have been a number 1 receiver with time. Obviously, it's rare for a rookie to come in and be, Marvin Harrison Jr. and instantly be your number 1 target. But I think that Burden could have got to that point. So that's who I wanted, but I'll live with Golden and having another fast receiver. But we'll see how this season goes.
Totally. How much NCAA football do you follow? You pretty
Not much.
not much.
Not much.
Because I was gonna ask you as an Ohio State fan. Now that I live in Columbus, Jeremiah Smith. Have you seen that guy? That's who the Packers need.
I have not seen him. I just
No?
remember it was more so because of playing NCAA way before, like early in the season. And Burden just seemed like really good in the game. And I was like, oh, okay, let's take a peek at what he's doing in real life. And the things that I saw, I was like, okay, this is a receiver I can get behind. And, we didn't get him. I'm pretty sure he went to Minnesota. I'm almost positive he went to Minnesota, which pisses me off, but we'll see how it goes.
We'll rally. Let's talk about your sport, track. Again, going back to that conversation, 2023, you made history by winning the 110 hurdles, long jump, and high jump. You became the first athlete in Division II history to secure 3 individual titles at a single championship. You were riding high off of that, but I think a lot of people question, can he bring it to the pro stage? A lot of people have, unique, cool stories like yourself, but then don't execute. You have executed and then some. You ran 12.87 in the 110, tied for the 4th fastest time ever, standing on business. What have the past 2 years felt like to you?
Honestly, it's been a true, I don't even know what word to use to describe it, but it feels like I've lived like 3 lives just because of being a collegiate athlete and then going home and working and then being a collegiate athlete and becoming a pro. There's a lot of things that, I've been able to do for my family that I never thought I'd be able to do. There's a lot of things I've done for myself I didn't think I'd be able to do. But all of it is just a fantastic learning experience. And I think that that's why this year is paying off the way it is, because technically my year 0 after a full collegiate season with no fall training, I ran from January to September. And then we come back not realizing how long the season's going to be again, and I end up getting hurt. And then realizing coming into this year, we know how long of a season we've got, doing all the right preparations and, taking certain things from certain athletes, learning certain things just about the body and how it works. It's all just kind of showing up this year, and it still is wild to me that I even ran 12.8 yet, because I just don't think I'm in 12.8 shape, but numbers don't lie in track and field, so I'm happy to see it.
No, they don't. They certainly don't. I have to ask you, former life as a cell phone salesman, that profession or profession of a professional track athlete, which one you like more?
I definitely enjoy this one a lot more. I get to travel the world and do something I love. Not saying I didn't love selling phones. I love anything that I'm getting paid to do. But this one is significantly better.
How often do you reflect on that time period of your life where you thought this running track and field life was over? And I'm sure you didn't dream that this was possible. So how much do you think back, and how much does that ground you of just like, wow, obviously I want to run faster than 12.8. Obviously I want to do big things, but like even to be here is a privilege.
I personally don't that often, but those that are around me, on some of those days where, I'm frustrated because I'm trying to be a perfectionist in practice or this and that, the talks I have with those people around me, they reassure me to essentially let me know, like, I don't know how you could ever hang your head. Like, if we told your past self, you 2.5 years ago, that this is the position you'd be in, you wouldn't believe us. Like, you didn't made everybody that's around you, everybody that's interacted with you, proud of you. You're just by being you, and you're upset because you can't get over 3 and 4 in practice. Go home, come back tomorrow, and you'll be all right. Like, so those that are around me remind me all the time of just, keeping your head up just because you have an off day. Because in some cases, I think I thought a lot my very first year after the NCAA season. I thought a lot of like, I'm not supposed to be here. I don't know how I'm here. But it's just a life that, God's made for me. So doing my
How
best to go through it.
totally. How big has trusting God's plan been for you through some of the ups and downs?
Honestly, it's been a big thing. I grew up a church kid, and then I think that a lot of the lessons that I learned after leaving college the first time and going home and working and doing all that stuff, that was where I kind of had lost my way of following my faith. And then it just so happened that as my mom and I talked a few weeks prior to me getting the call to even come down to Pitt, we were talking about God and how it affects us. And shortly after, I get a call that brings me down to Pitt, and all of a sudden my life has changed forever. So there's a lot that I believe in trusting God and following in that, just because at the times where I didn't know where to go, he's had a plan for me this whole time. So I will continue to follow.
Those who are watching this on YouTube or on Spotify can see you're wearing a shirt that says Chase Your Greatness. What does that mean to you personally?
So this is actually my old training partner, Lewis Rollins. He was here at Pitt before me. It's just kind of his brand that he's got. And I remember seeing the shirt because like the whole Pitt team had them, of just like, and I was like, bro, like, where are y'all getting these shirts from? And when I realized like it was, just his, I was like, not only is it just a fantastic saying, simply because greatness doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. You can be great in different ways. So chasing what your definition of greatness is a big thing that I believe in. And, you know, it's always fun to support those that have impacted your life. And again, Lewis is one of those people. I don't think I'm in this position without, he's the person that showed me the ropes of how to be a pro, how to approach this, how to approach that. And so I wear these shirts almost as much as I wear anything else. So
I love it, man. I love it. Going back to, our conversation last time, I think a lot of the discussion stemmed from, what's next? Where do you go from here? And when we were talking about, I just feel like you look at your career top down and there's always like the next thing, the next goal, what you're chasing next. For you, now that you've kind of made it as a professional track athlete, yeah, using greatness, like what do you view as your own greatness, and what's that chase and pursuit like?
I think that according to my family, I've reached greatness. According to my friends that are in my close circle, they know I think I'm far from great. But I think that continuing to build off of everything that I've done in order to, I don't know if I want to, I know at some point I want to run faster than I just ran. Well, not just, but ran a few weeks ago. I want to continue to win races. I want to continue to make teams. I want medals. I want the record. Like, I think that's my definition of greatness. Is I don't think you can be. I think, of course, you can be great without all of those things. But me personally, greatness to me means you've done everything that you've set out to do. So I've set out to win a gold medal, whether it's at Worlds or at the Olympics. That's a goal of mine. I've set out to set that record. That was a goal of mine, as even though technically I don't have it because it was out of season, my goal was to be the fastest collegian of all time. And technically I am, but they don't promote it that way because it was out of season. So they always say the collegiate record is Grant. And I respect it, but I mean, it's slower than me. But no, I'm just kidding. But that was my goal. So that was one thing I had done. And it's just a matter of continuing on and setting bigger and better things for yourself.
Speaking of that, man, Grant Holloway, absolute dog. He's owned this event for years and years. What's it going to take to beat him at a championship?
Cordell Tinch. And I don't mean to say that it's not a a shot or anything like that. I think that there's things that I've seen, there's things that I do, there's things that he does. Everybody does them so differently, and you wonder how different could it really be when you're doing the same exact thing in lanes 1 through 9. Um, but I do think that one, I'll have to get the experience of actually running through those rounds, just because, especially at like a championship level meet, simply because when I went to Worlds, yes, I got the experience, but I was just so mentally checked out of track and field after not doing anything and running for 8 months straight. I was just enjoying the experience. Like, I wasn't really there to compete, if I'm being honest. Um, so I think that getting that experience is something that I need, but at the same time, trusting in the plan of those around me, whether it's coaches, lifting coaches, friends and family, just making sure I'm on the right path. I think that, of course, everybody's going to say they think they have the best shot, but I personally believe I have the best shot within the hurdle field to beat him. Of course, people can say, oh, well, he's been beaten before and this and that. At the end of the day, even though I've beat him already, I don't know if he's hurt, if he's healthy, what the reason is for how he finished the race in China. I don't know what that is, but I know that in the long scheme of things, that means nothing, because I can beat him there and we go to Eugene to make the team and he don't even got to run. That's the difference between where I'm at and where he's at. He doesn't have to run. He still is going to be in Tokyo. I got to go run all 3 rounds, make sure I'm top 3 in order to be in Tokyo. So there's levels to it, and I've got to continue to, battle through it and make my way through. But I think that getting to Tokyo is the first step in order to, attempt to, stop where he's at and kind of insert myself. So that's the goal of the year, is to make first, we got to make the team. Second, we make the podium.
As someone who was never a hurdler in high school, can't say I really ran over them much. Maybe did a few warm-up exercises over them, but never hopped over them. What's unique about that event, and why do you love it so much?
I think the uniqueness is it genuinely is everybody who hurdles. I think that you can hurdle similarly to people, but I don't think anybody hurdles the same. Um, even we were just talking about Grant. I just I don't know if we'll ever see a race that somebody beats Grant, whether we're indoor or outdoor, over 5 hurdles in total. It's just he didn't figure that out entirely. Like, that's just a tough thing. And of course, we always want to improve, but like, he has set that standard so high of getting through 5 hurdles so well. Yet so many other people are, their best hurdles are 3 through 8. Their best hurdles are 6 through 9. Like, everybody else is so much different just because there's different aspects. And I think that just because it was so natural for me of just like what I've done, people ask like, oh, how'd you get your trail leg to be like this? How does your lead arm do that? I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know. I've gotten in the blocks and coach will say, we need to work on speeding this rhythm up. We need to work on keeping this tight. We need to work on this. And I will think about it and it won't translate right away. But then like 2 weeks later or a week later, what he asked of me then shows up in practice. And I'm like, I don't know how it happened, because I didn't sit here and think about it. I didn't go home and, sit there doing trail leg drills in my room. Like, no, it just happens. And I think that's the best part for me, is it's such a natural thing that once I feel the right way of how to do it, it stays that way for me. And so I am grateful for it.
As someone who doesn't know that side of the sport super well, how do you train to run 12.8? Like, how much of it's in the gym? How much of it is doing these hurdle exercises? How much of it is sprint work? And across the pros, is it generally pretty similar, or is it pretty diverse?
And that's another thing. It's different based on the hurdler themselves. The biggest thing I know is that there's hurdle drills that we, not drills, but there's hurdle workouts that include a 5-step race pattern. For me, that doesn't work at all. I know for a lot of people it does. If we had a video of me doing a 5-step hurdle drill, you would think I never hurdled before. But for some people, you'd think they're a world record holder the way they look. Like it just doesn't work for me. So it's different for everybody. But I mean, my typical week is 2 hurdle days, two excel days, and a rest day, and then a sprint endurance day, and lifting 3 times a week. So I think that that's pretty typical. Something along those lines, but I know that's what mine is. I'm not going to get into everything we're doing because we're in season, and I'm not giving out the secrets this year. But no, that's pretty much it. 2 hurdle days, excel work, sprint endurance, stay strong in the weight room, and hope that everything works out.
What's one thing you're doing off the track, out of the gym, that you feel like has the biggest impact on your overall performance?
Honestly, it's probably just finding peace, in all honesty. Just not letting life distract me, not letting certain things bother me. Just kind of being one with myself and being in a better headspace, because for as much as track and field is physical, it is very mental. So I think that just having a clear head and going into places has given me a confidence boost. It has just kind of boosted me in all aspects, just because I don't worry about many things, and very thankful for coaches, friends and family, agents. A lot of them make my life very easy, where all I got to worry about is making sure I'm awake, making sure I feed myself, making sure I train, and making sure I make it on these planes to go compete.
Going back in time, what do you think young Cordell would think of you now, like middle school Cordell playing AAU?
I think at first he'd be confused that we're not playing football. But then he'd realize what we've done so far, and kind of almost tell himself I knew I would do it, just because I've always had really big goals for myself. I just never knew how to get there. I didn't know how I would get there, but I figured eventually I'd get there. By the grace of God, I'll make my way there. And so to be where I am now, and to know, I think he'd also tell me that we're not done yet, because even though we've gotten to this point, he still didn't get to the goals we've got set. So, congrats to where you are, but get to where you need to be.
What's that balance in your head of grateful for what you've accomplished, grateful to God for what he's put in your life, done in your life, while also not allowing that reflection process to allow you to get complacent and to settle where you're at?
Honestly, I think it's just my actual personality just doesn't allow me to be satisfied with where I'm at. I don't think that talking to my mom about it, I don't think that I've ever been a complacent person, just because until you've done everything, there's something else you can do. And technically in track and field, you can't ever have done everything, because even if you set the world record, you can make it faster. Even if you won a gold medal, you can go win another one. So there's always something else to do. So I think that those around me they always do a good job as well of keeping me focused on moving forward, in order to not really sit and ponder of like, damn, I'm really here. But I definitely do at the end of the season, or when I travel to new places. It's usually when my mom texts me whenever I tell her I've landed in this place or that place, and she's like, "Oh, make sure you take pictures and this and that." And I'm like, I don't take pictures. But then I have to think about it, like, I've never been here, and who knows if I'm coming back. So sometimes it's like I have those moments where it's like, oh, I'm really here, and then I gotta reel it back in. But I think that I do a pretty good job of making sure I'm focused and not really reflecting too much of where I'm at.
There's this quote I came across that I don't necessarily fully agree with, because I think you should smell the flowers, be grateful, and celebrate your own wins. But I do really appreciate it. It went something like, the quote went something like, restlessness is discontent, and discontent is the first necessity of progress. Show me a thoroughly satisfied man, and I'll show you a failure. And I thought that hit.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
To me, it makes sense. But
Yeah.
but I definitely do agree that
It's a balance.
Yes, at some point you do have to look at where you are and, appreciate where you're at. Because especially in sports, you could always be one injury, one accident away from not being back to where you were. And it could be a freak accident. It could be just overworking yourself. So I definitely do think that at points you got to stop and reflect and be grateful for where you are, and not just treat it as a job of, I got to go do this in order to do this. No, sometimes you got to sit and be like, I'm really in Rome, just walking around. Like, you have to be able to do that. So
it's an interesting balance, because I think that it's not a healthy form of fuel, but it's a damn successful one. Like, I think if MJ had the mindset of smelling the flowers and appreciating the wins, I don't think he'd go out and win 6. I think it was his greed that made him win as many as he did.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I find that the highest achievers don't always have the healthiest sense of why they do what they do, or why they want what they want, but it's ultimately how they're able to accomplish it. And if you're in that competition, if you even lack for a second, other people are going to come and pick up your slack. So that's sports, and I think that's the beauty of sports. And I think as long as you appreciate it after the fact, and you're not greedy for wanting more, and also, like you said, realizing that God could take it all away in one instant, and knowing that if that's the case, that his will be done. So
exactly.
You're a youngin'. You graduated 2023. How does that approach and that thought process factor into your career? It's funny I asked this right after saying it could be all taken away, but assuming logically that you're going to have a long career, what's your thought process on you're still young in the sport?
I think that honestly, my take has just been I got to assess each year as its own thing, as soon as our season ends. So this year, I don't know if it's the first time ever, first time in a while, but the season ends with the World Championships. There's no more track meets after the World Championships end. So I think that as soon as that ends,
which makes infinite sense, by the way. I don't know why we were doing it the other way in the past.
Hey, I just got here, so it's almost the way I've always seen it. So, but I think that when the season ends, you got to assess how the body feels going into the next season and figuring all that out. So you got to take it year by year. I don't think that, of course, people are always going to be like, but you ran 12.8 last year. That means you got to run 12.8 this year. It's not how it always works in track and field. Sometimes you can run really fast and then you don't run fast for 5 years, but in that 6 years, something just clicks and all of a sudden you ran faster than you ever have 6 years later. So I think that taking each year as its own year is going to be a big thing, just to continue to build and, be better, hopefully, each year. But I can't really think too far, simply because I know that at some point you're going to be done. But I don't know how long that takes, because everybody's track and field clock is different. Some people run one Olympic cycle and they're like, that was a lot. Some people run 2, some people run 3, some people run 4. Like, it's different for everybody. So hopefully I have a couple Olympic cycles left. Hopefully the body holds up that long and we are running competitive times, because that's what I want.
That's what it's all about. Final question for you, man. Final serious question for you. For those who have listened to our conversation today, what's the final takeaway message that you want to leave with them?
Chase your greatness. I think that's what we'll leave today with, is just chasing your greatness, and greatness can mean whatever you want it to mean. Make sure that's what you're chasing.
Super good, man. Final question for you on a lighter note, off the track, out of the gym. What's one thing you're looking forward to in the coming months?
Guess I'm looking forward to my birthday, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like, everything in the next couple months is track related.
How old are we turning? 24?
5.
25.
Yeah, I'm
Growing up
old.
there.
Yep.
Quarter of a century. Okay,
I'll be
let me
unbelievable.
let me ask you this. Off of that, what's the most memorable birthday of your life?
I have a bad memory. So technically
Really?
last year,
Okay.
because it was the first time technically my birthday was 48 hours long last year because I was in Monaco at the beginning of my birthday and I was
No
flying
way.
back to Wisconsin. So I spent the whole
That's
day.
crazy.
Yeah. So I spent the day in Monaco. Well, the night in Monaco, flew back to Wisconsin, and it was like 10 a.m.
What?
So
That's
then
bizarre. That'll probably never happen again.
Yeah, it actually is going to happen again this
Really?
year.
What?
I'll be in Monaco again.
So it's like a yearly tradition.
But I don't know if I'm going home after Monaco, just because I think that I might have to go home, but we'll see.
I love it.
Because I don't.
That's a great
remember
answer.
the exact dates.
That's a great answer.
Of USA's. So yeah, I enjoyed last year.
Amazing. Well, Cordell, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on the podcast. It was an honor talking to you 2 years ago, and so cool to see the progress, the accomplishments, and all that God has done in your life in the past 2 years. And I know it's just a glimpse of everything to come. So keep crushing it, keep working hard, and hey, keep chasing your own greatness. I know it's big.
That's all I can do. Thank you for having me.